Alright, so if you've stuck with me this far, it's been about somewhere around 37 minutes of videos that you've watched. I think something like that. Almost 40 minutes. So I'm going to make this my last video, I believe, for this lesson. And I just want to, well, first of all, thank you for watching so far. I hope it helped. Hopefully by now you've got your scanner all set up and you've tried some of this stuff. And so I'm going to show you one more thing, and then I've got an assignment for you. So what I want you to do next, what I'm going to do next, I have the same two pieces of paper in my scanner all loaded and ready. And the first one is the double-sided gold document, and the other one is the second one is the single-sided white document. And so this time, though, I want to make one Evernote note. It's been 43 minutes since the last batch that I ran through the scanner, and so now I'm gonna make one note. And of course, you'll remember I need double-sided. So let's see if you can guess which one of these profiles I need. Remember, this is the good one of the two that I tried. Two-sided one note. I haven't deleted this yet, but I'm going to do that next. So forget about this one, but basically the same title. So here's my three choices. Scan to Evernote document is kind of a default one that you get when you set up the software. And again, that's duplex, two-sided documents, and multiple pages or pieces of paper makes one Evernote note. That's one option. Scan to Evernote simplex with one note per page is second choice. And then again, scan to Evernote two-sided, one note per page. So if I want one note with these two pieces of paper that are now on the scanner, which one would you pick? This is choice 1, choice 2, and choice 3. Well, if you pick this one, you're right, because it's two-sided document and it's going to make one note. I can rename this, by the way, so it describes that, and that's probably a good idea. But I always just leave it like this because I know that's what it does. So I'm going to choose that, and then I'm going to press my scanner button, and we'll see what comes out. So there's the first side, there's the second side, and there's the third side, which is the second piece of paper. And now it's going to go through and do the processing. Okay, the processing is just about done. There we go. Now wait a second and see what comes out. It should be one note. There's one note so far. And by the way, this happens sometimes too. The syncing stopped. Okay, it started up on its own. Let's wait a second and see if anything else pops out before it stops syncing. Hopefully not. Okay, I've let several minutes pass since this document was created. The document that we just scanned is this one here. I don't know if you noticed, but over here some of these shortcuts changed. I actually was, while I was waiting for things to process in YouTube and other places, I was working on another computer, and because this one was tied up, so I was working on another computer and did some updates and things and made these changes. So lots of different things have changed throughout this process. I'll go into all of this, what all this means, in a later lesson when we get into Evernote itself. But anyhow, get back to the matter at hand here. 5 minutes ago, I scanned these two pieces of paper into the scanner, and if everything went well, we should have them both right here. Two separate pieces of paper. One of them has two sides, and then the second one has one side. And they should all be in one note. So here's the one note, and now let's see what we got. As you can see, it's got page 1 of 3. So if we go to the second page, it's the back side of the first piece of paper. And then the last page should be the front side of the second piece of paper, just as it came through. So that's how it's supposed to work. And as you can see, it's quite versatile how you can do this. I should say, just for the sake of explanation, that when I do my students' documents, they're looking at usually at least one piece of paper. Let's say it's a math sheet, and then a second sheet of paper which is on one side, that I call my reflection sheet, where they write out their reflection on the piece of paper that they want to submit to me, the work that they want to submit. So they're writing a paragraph, etc. on that. And so let's say that that's a simple example. Each kid is going to give me at least 2 pieces of paper each Friday when we go through the Friday folder and do this. So I want that kid's work from that week to show up as one single note. No matter how many pieces of paper he or she gives me, I want it to be one note. And so what I do is I look through the pieces of paper. If they give me any of the pages that they give me has 2 sides to it, then I use the duplex method with 1 note per batch of papers. And I scan one kid at a time so that they end up being in their own note. So I just kids bring them up to the desk, and I stack them in piles, and then one after the other I scan each kid's pile into a single note in Evernote. And then later I go in and change the name of the note. And so, for example, let's pretend that this thing we're looking at right here is the kid's reflection sheet and his math page or whatever. And it took three sheets or 3 sides of a piece of paper to get all that in. So 2 pieces of paper, 3 sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and change this in this way. You just take the first piece of paper. So I go back to page 1, and I go up here where the title is. And what I typically do is I erase all of this stuff right here, the minutes and seconds, and the fact that it's a PDF document. I just highlight that and backspace, and then I come back over here in the beginning. You can see what I've got left is the date. Come back here in the beginning, and let's say this is the first person in your group. So I always say the first person in my group is me when I'm explaining to students. And I number my students, so I'm number 0, 2 digits always. And then I put the kid's first name. So there's my first name. Then I put a space. Then I put a dash. Then I put another space. And then, of course, at the end is the date. And then after that, I put another space, and I put down what it is. And in this case, it's a reflection sheet for that kid for that date. And what's nice about this system is if you have a whole stack of kids, then what you can do is you can come in here before you do anything else and highlight everything except for the kid's number and name and copy. So you go up to edit and you copy. Okay, so then I'm back to where I started from with this kid. And then as you notice, as you make those changes, it is reflected up here. Then I go down to the next kid, and so let's say this is his note for that week. I click on it, and I go over here, and again, you can ignore what this really is. If this is we're pretending this is Johnny or something, and he's number 1. So you just did Paul, he's number 0. Now you're going to do Johnny, same, everything's the same except for the kid. So then you're going to just highlight this whole thing, and you're going to put down 01 Johnny, who you're saying it is. And then since I copied the rest of the information, which is going to be the same for each kid, I'm just going to paste. And you can either go to the edit menu and choose paste, or you can hold down the control button and the V as in Victor. And I must have goofed. Sorry about that. You got to be careful you don't get this part. So let me get rid of that. I think you get the idea though. So you copy and you paste this part right here. Carefully, try not to highlight the whole thing. So you copy that, and again I use Control C for copy. And then once you've done that, you just click there and it should update and give me that kid's information. So I'm going to click down here. As you see, Johnny's now is there. And let's call this one Mary. So I click on it to highlight the whole thing, and she's number 2. And Control V for paste. That's how it's supposed to work. And then you just keep going down the list. And as you click on the next one, the previous one is updated. And it's always the most recent one that you change that ends up at the top. So they're going to be in backwards order, you know, of whatever you did. And they just go through the list like that. And you know, you get pretty quick at it after a while. And then later, what I do is I come over here where I've created a whole nother notebook with each kid's. You can see each kid there, and there's 00 Paul. So what I'm going to do is take 00 Paul here, click on it, and you can literally drag it over to 00 Paul and watch him disappear from the list on the right. And instead of 3 notes, we'll have 4 notes over here on the left. Watch. And I don't know what all that means. You will lose any note history and shared note URLs by moving this. So that's fine. And that's going to happen every single time, so don't tell me that every time. Check that and then say move the note. So it shouldn't tell me that the next time. So now under 00 Paul, there's 4 instead of 3 notes in that notebook. And over here, Paul's gone. And so then I just kind of one by one file them into this. I'll show you later how to create all of this. But as you can see, these kids all have multiple notes, and I've got more to file. I have you know, that's my bookkeeping project each week. And then these notebooks have been shared with the kids, and they have their own Evernote account, and they can go in and look at these notes. They can show them to their parents, and they can also edit these notes and add comments to them and add notes of their own to their portfolios, etc., like that. So that's how the system is designed to work. And that was just a quick overview. I'll give you much more in detail about how to use Evernote in another lesson. This one's been way too long already. And again, if you're still here, thanks for sticking with me. Have fun with Evernote and your ScanSnap scanner, and especially the way they work together.